It's time to announce the Kia NBA Most Valuable Player for 2020. Ballots were cast by media members just before play was restarted in Orlando. And the 3 MVP finalists were Giannis Antetokounmpo, James Harden, and LeBron James. And now to make the announcement, the commissioner of the NBA joining us from New York, Adam Silver. Adam, it's all yours.
Thanks, Ernie. It's my honor to announce the 2020 Kia Most Valuable Player is Giannis Antetokounmpo. Giannis, good evening. Congratulations to you and your family.
Thank you, guys.
So yes, in what shouldn't be a surprise to literally anybody, Giannis Antetokounmpo has won the 2020 MVP, making him the 7th player to win back-to-back MVPs, and the 3rd player to win Defensive Player of the Year and MVP in the same season. It is weird because he's receiving his MVP award on the couch, much like Dirk in 2007, but of course that's besides the point, because let's go back to what I said earlier. It should be no surprise that Giannis won the MVP, and yet we still have people all over the internet legitimately believing that LeBron James was just robbed of his 9th potential MVP. Yes, by the way, that's a real thing that someone said. Most of the people you'll see here where they just say he was robbed, how didn't he win? Well, let's take a look and see exactly why he didn't win MVP. We're going to be comparing Giannis and LeBron's numbers, their situations, and we're going to be determining whether LeBron James was actually robbed of winning MVP this season. But before we begin, if you're new here, I'm Double D. I'm a huge basketball fan and I make NBA videos here on YouTube. So if you're also an NBA fan, or just a basketball fan in general, feel free to hit the sub button and click the bell to be notified when I upload more videos just like this one. Also, according to YouTube analytics, around 91% of you guys that watch my videos are still not subscribed, and so I would really appreciate that. Also, feel free to follow my Twitch, it is down below in the description, and it's also on the screen. Alright, let's get into the video. So one thing to think about here is something that I've been seeing a lot more in the past few years. It's the fact that no matter how late they actually give out the award, it's literally in the name. It is the regular season MVP, meaning that anything to do with the selection of that player came from their performance in the regular season. And just so we're clear, I don't know if you noticed what Ernie Johnson said in the clip at the start of the video, but he said this.
Ballots were cast by media members just before play was restarted in Orlando.
And so that's just to clear up any confusion as to why Giannis won MVP despite being eliminated, and LeBron is in the Western Conference Finals with a very good chance to go to the finals and possibly win his 4th ring, and he didn't win MVP. Just know that they voted on this before the bubble even started, and technically that would mean that they voted on it 8 games before the regular season was even over. But even then, LeBron still probably wouldn't have a case there because of his subpar play in the seeding games themselves. But that was also mainly due to the Lakers already having the 1 seed locked up, and so he didn't really need to put up the numbers that we know he's capable of. So now let's actually talk about the seasons these guys both had, because I actually didn't expect this, but James Harden wasn't in this conversation at all. He placed 3rd in MVP voting, but he didn't receive any 1st place votes and only received 1 2nd place vote. I thought for sure he would have at least been closer to 2nd, but Giannis and LeBron are our 2 main guys here, so let's talk about them. So after a somewhat disappointing loss to the Toronto Raptors in the conference finals, Giannis was awarded the league MVP for his play during the regular season, which, I gotta say this, bro, who thought of the award show? Not only that, but who thought of having it after the finals? Bro, we're getting ready for free agency, we're getting ready for the draft. Nobody cares anymore about who won MVP or Defensive Player of the Year or any of that, except for the fans of those players that won or were finalists. Let's just go back to handing them out during the playoffs, maybe even before they start, because there's usually a 3 to 4 day break between the end of the regular season and the playoffs, so why not have it then, so we can stop having people think the playoffs were a factor when they voted beforehand.
Draymond Green stopped kicking people in the groin and moved on to something much worse, his own podcast. It's a tough listen. It's a tough listen.
Okay, there's my award show rant. But yeah, Giannis won the regular season MVP, and he told his fans to stop calling him the MVP because he wanted to reach another level and win them a championship. And coming into the season, he really showed that. During the season, he looked absolutely unstoppable, and it was due to the numbers that he was putting up. Giannis in the regular season pre-bubble, because that's what they voted on, he averaged 29.6 points, 13.7 rebounds, 5.8 assists, a steal and a block, and had a true shooting percentage of 60.8%. And he did all of this while playing just 30.9 minutes per game, meaning that this was the lowest play time by any MVP. Ever, with the only player close to that being Steph Curry in 2015, where he played 32 minutes a game. Alright, there's the running joke at this point where I mention Steph Curry or Golden State in every video. But given all that, with how little time he did that in, it's really impressive, especially for someone that doesn't really have a reliable jump shot in an era where that's really important. And it was his play on the defensive end that won him Defensive Player of the Year. Now, I'm not gonna go into detail on that in this video, I may end up just making a separate video on that. Just know that it involves a lot of advanced stats and other things that don't show up on stat sheets that led to him beating out Anthony Davis. But that's for another day. And so we look at all these numbers, and we look at leading this Bucks team to 53 wins before the shutdown, which was the most in the NBA. And I feel like this is the thing that got lost about this season. The Bucks started the season 6-3 before going on an 18-game win streak, where Giannis averaged 32 points a game in 30 minutes during that streak. And when you consider that there was really no other significant talent on the roster outside of Chris Middleton, the season was pretty impressive. I'll talk more about the rosters later though. But now let's talk about the season LeBron had. LeBron was coming off a year where he had missed the playoffs for the first time since 2005. A combination of injuries to LeBron James himself and the roster around him led the Lakers to losing games they should have been winning, and also led to the chemistry problems they experienced with guys being in and out of the lineups. And just so we're clear, the one thing you always hear about the season was the Lakers were 4th seed before LeBron got hurt. Which is true, but it is also worth noting that the Lakers were only 1.5 games ahead of the 10th seed at the time, because that's how close the West was. So I just wanted to clear that up. But coming into the offseason, we expected a major shift with that team, given how many players were made available in trade talks earlier that season. So there's a good chance that they didn't want to be there anymore. And in June of 2019, we got that major shift, as the Lakers traded Josh Hart, Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, and 3 first-round picks to the Pelicans in return for Anthony Davis, which instantly made the Lakers a title-contending team to a lot of people. And this was only amplified by the fact that they picked up a lot of paint protection and 3-and-D guys, with Dwight Howard, Danny Green, and Avery Bradley being their main pickups that offseason. And so we get to the regular season, where the Lakers ended up being the 1st seed in the Western Conference, and LeBron during the season would average 25.7 points, 7.9 rebounds, and 10.6 assists, while putting up a true shooting percentage of 58.2% at 35 years old in his 17th season. That's just insane, man. I actually don't know at this point if I'm still gonna be here talking about him competing when he's like 47 years old or something, because this is not normal. That being said, Giannis was still at a point during the season where most people agreed that this may end up being a unanimous selection for Giannis. And then LeBron and the Lakers beat the Bucks and the Clippers in back-to-back games, and everything changed, where we now had people saying LeBron was now in 1st place. Now, I want to talk about people's reasoning for a bit here, because for the most part, people's reasoning for LeBron being MVP has to do with, the age and the point in his career where he's doing it, while doing it in the tougher conference, which are all fine. But what we're not going to do is put LeBron as the MVP because of reasons like this.
He's 35 years old, year 17. He has navigated a China controversy and maybe the biggest tragedy in the history of the NBA this season. That's extra stuff that, quite frankly, Giannis is not going through, and playing in the better conference, and has the spotlight on him every single day. I mean, to me, all those things, the actual basketball life experience that LeBron James goes through, adds to the degree of gift.
Alright, so now that we got that out of the way, let's actually compare these two. So Giannis beat out LeBron in nearly every statistical category other than steals, 3-point percentage, and assists. So we have that. We also have the fact that Anthony Davis actually led the Lakers in points, rebounds, steals, blocks, field goal percentage, and free throw percentage. And that's if we don't look at JaVale McGee or Dwight Howard, because their attempts are all at the basket and Anthony Davis scores from all over the floor. And so it's different. And plus they take less shots than him. But we also need to take a look at the value of having Anthony Davis on your team. because he's easily a top 10 player in the league and actually finished 5th in MVP voting this season, and was the runner-up to win Defensive Player of the Year. So that's LeBron's second option. Giannis' second option is Chris Middleton. Now, this is not a shot at him because he's a great all-star caliber player, but if you're being completely honest with yourself, who would you rather have? Chris Middleton or Anthony Davis? I think that should be a rhetorical question because we already have people comparing LeBron and AD to Kobe and Shaq, which I personally think is ridiculous, but let's keep going. So the last thing I wanted to talk about was the rosters themselves, because I feel like the Lakers probably have the best all-around roster in the entire league right now, in terms of role players and all-around help. They have guys like Avery Bradley and Rajon Rondo who can provide veteran leadership and great perimeter defense. They have insane rim protection and paint protection with JaVale McGee, Anthony Davis, and Dwight Howard, and of course they have their two superstars that fit perfectly together in LeBron James and Anthony Davis. And they also have Kyle Kuzma, who's a decent third option and is also capable of giving you 20 points on any given night. And while the Bucks do have a good team around Giannis, they don't have all that. They have Giannis and Middleton running the show, then outside of that they really focus more on packing the paint rather than having a better perimeter defense. And so that's the reason why they may be good at defending teams like the T-Wolves or the Lakers who rely more on big men, and they may struggle with teams like the Rockets or Golden State who rely on guards and perimeter scoring. So that team has a lot more flaws than this Laker team, and they got exposed by the Miami Heat. But this is a regular season award, so we're not going to worry about that. So Giannis led LeBron in nearly every category. LeBron wasn't even the leader in a lot of those categories on his own team. Giannis led his team to more wins with less talent. He was the better defender and performed better against the top 8 teams in the league. But if you're Mark Medina, who voted for LeBron, you could say he deserved it because he played in more games. No? Okay. Well, let me know what you think down below. Do you think the media messed up again, or do you think that Giannis deserved the MVP? But with all that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you're new, hit the bell to be notified when I upload, comment down below what you want to see next, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next one.